Hello everybody and welcome back to Expert Examiner IELTS. My name is Glyn and in this video we're going to give some more IELTS writing feedback. Again, we have an IELTS writing academic essay, task 2. And as always, we start by reading the question carefully, reading it a couple of times, making sure that we understand how to meet the demands, the needs of this question, because we know task response is something many candidates struggle with. But okay, let's have a look at this question. So some universities, not all, but some universities now offer their courses on the internet so that people can study online. Okay, a very simple sentence. Some universities now offer their courses on the internet so that people can study online. Is this a positive or a negative development? So you have to answer this question. Is it a positive or a negative development? Now, we all know that there are positive points and that there are negative points. But the question obviously asks you to choose, is this a positive or a negative development? And so we basically, in our essay, need to say and explain and justify why we think being able to study online is a positive thing overall, or why it is a negative thing overall. Quite straightforward. So, in terms of structure for paragraphs, the introduction will be some background information about studying online, about e-learning or something like this. There should be some reference to the question, this idea that, there is increasing availability with university courses. Cool. And in the introduction, I want an answer to this question. I want to know if the candidate believes that it's a positive or a negative development. I need this answer. If the candidate thinks it's a positive development, body paragraph 1 will be reason 1 why it's positive and then an explanation. Body paragraph 2 will be reason 2 why it's positive and an explanation. And with explanation, we have, justification, evidence, examples, that type of stuff. In the conclusion, we should get a summary of those two main points, those two main arguments, plus some type of comment, maybe some prediction about the future or some other type of reflective comment. But okay, quite straightforward, quite easy. Let's see what the candidate has. So first of all, I just want to check that there are 4 paragraphs and the length. 1 paragraph, 2, 3, 4. Ooh, looks a little short. I don't think the candidate has reached the 250 word limit. Let's check. 223 words. Ay, 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 ay. So, without reading a word of your writing, the first piece of feedback I'm going to give you is you have to meet this 250 word requirement. You just have to. You shouldn't send me writing that's less than 250 words, and you shouldn't send me writing that's more than 350 words. For me, the golden zone is about 280 words. I don't recommend going over 300, but okay, if you have 310, I'm not going to cry about it. But we certainly should not be under the 250 words, right? It's the most basic thing. Even, yeah, I don't want to make the point. I don't want to keep repeating myself, but you have to meet this 250 word limit, not limit, recommendation, word count. 250 words, write at least 250 words. 220 words is not at least 250 words. So you will be marked down for this a little, probably. Anyway, okay. Let's have a look at the introduction then. Let's see what the candidate's done. There has been a trend. Okay, has been a trend. I think that's fine. Maybe there is a trend, has been a trend. Okay, of some universities offering, really like this, of plus complex object, some universities offering really nice grammar here. Their courses on the internet, which gives people an opportunity to study online. Okay, so this is just a paraphrase of this, right? This part is just a paraphrase of this. I'm not a big fan of the direct paraphrase. For me, it shows a lack of flexibility. I prefer the candidate's own original background information and their own reference to the question without just a blatant direct paraphrase. But okay, it does the job, more or less. While there are some advantages to learning from a distance, distance learning, maybe. I don't know, learning from a distance. It sounds a bit strange to distance learning. Good subordination. It is important to acknowledge its detrimental effects on society. Okay, but big problem. We haven't answered this question. Is it a positive or a negative development? I don't know. You say that there are advantages and disadvantages. Of course, there are advantages and disadvantages. I want you to tell me if you think that the ability or um, the possibility, the opportunity to study online, if is that positive or negative? You haven't told me. You've told me there are advantages, and you've said it's important to acknowledge its detrimental effects. I love this in terms of language. Acknowledge its detrimental effects. Amazing in terms of language, but in terms of task response, there is no answer to this question. Is this a positive or negative development? It's going to count against you. Sorry. Okay. People who consider online learning to be a positive step forward cite various reasons to support their stance. I really don't like this. In terms of language, again, it's great. Support their stance, great. I want a topic sentence here. I want to know what the benefit is, right? One benefit of studying online is and then explain. Here we have, there are various reasons, and it's just empty. You're not getting to the point fast enough. Sorry. I will say the language is amazing. Your language is super strong. But task response, bit weak. When people choose to study remotely, cool, they can save their time, which may be spent on transportation. I guess this comma shouldn't be used, right? Save their time, which may be, yeah. I don't think this is a non-defining relative clause. I think it's a defining relative clause, but okay. This is grammatical boring stuff. This comma is incorrect. Okay, they can save their time, which may be spent on transportation. Okay, and so what? This can ultimately help them focus more on their personal development. Really? And self-study. I mean, it can give them more time. It can give them more time. I don't think it affects the focus, though, does it? Your ability to focus. I don't think you've proven that. Certainly, it can give them more time to spend on their personal development and self-study. But I don't know about focus. Just slightly strange. Which are more important aspects of life. More important than what? We have a comparative, which are very important aspects of life. Okay. But more important, it's not clear what you're comparing this to. Okay. In a world where individuals are quite busy with their own, I don't know, in academic writing, it seems a bit strange to say individuals are quite busy, you know, with their own commitments. Okay, remote learning can make a big difference. Again, we just get this. It can make a big difference. What do you mean? It can make a big difference when it comes to dealing with time. Okay, big difference when it comes to dealing with time. Cool. Sorry. So we do get a main point here, right? A good thing about studying online is that it helps you to save time, and that's it. I don't think it's really developed very well. Yeah, so the main point is clear, but the development is, for me, the support is weak here. Okay. However, in my view, the negative impacts of online learning should also be taken into consideration. Yeah, we know. You've said this here, right? It is important to acknowledge its detrimental effects on society. The negative impacts of online learning should also be taken into consideration. So you don't have to repeat the general language. General language in the introduction, topic sentence of a paragraph. However, one downside of online learning is and then explain that. So you're too slow getting to your main point. Let's see. If learners choose online study, I don't know, choose online study, it's okay. Choose to study online maybe is more natural, but okay. They may lose essential communication skills. I love this use of may, but I really I don't find that a persuasive argument. You'll if you learn to study online, you'll lose communication skills. Now, of course, the quality of your opinion isn't so important, but I just think it's a strange argument to make. I mean, I've done online learning, um, and it's too basic to say if you study online, you might lose essential communication skills. Sure, you could say, you'd make it would be a better argument if you said that um, studying online doesn't help you to develop communication skills as much as studying in person. I think that's a fair argument. But the idea that studying online will lead to you losing essential communication skills, I don't, yeah, it's not really a strong argument. Hindering, cool. So I love this participle, love this use of hindering. Candidates' language is so strong. Hindering their ability to interact with others. Again, am I supposed to take this argument seriously? If you study online, you might lose your communication skills, and that will make it more difficult for you to speak to other people. Um, that's not really a serious position, is it? Anyway, as a result, they might feel stressed and anxious. Oh, come on. Like, come on. If you study online, you'll lose your essential skills, your essential communication skills. Then you won't be able to speak to other people, and then you're going to get stressed and anxious. That's not the downside of studying online, right? It's not a serious argument against studying online. I do think you could make the point that studying in person helps to develop your communication skills more. You could make that point. But I'm not going to repeat too much. Sorry. Which could affect their mental health. Well, that's circular, right? If you feel stressed and anxious, that is a negative effect of your mental health, not it could affect your mental health. It's like saying if you put food in your mouth and you chew it and you swallow, you could eat. What do you mean could eat? This is eating, right? Being stressed and anxious, that is affecting mental health. So that's a little bit odd, just a little bit odd. Okay. This is especially detrimental for the younger generation. Okay, so we're just developing, we're going too far off topic. We want to know the downsides of studying online. Not like, oh, mental health is a problem for the younger generation. You're just drifting too far off topic. Stick to that idea. Always keep that question in mind. Why is it bad for people to study online? And for me, you've just gone too far off topic now by talking about, mental health is important for the younger generation because they struggle with emotional resilience and self-control. So all of this stuff is just too far off topic. Therefore, the advantage of remote learning is simply eclipsed by significant trade-off. Therefore, the advantage of remote learning is simply eclipsed by significant trade-off. I don't know what that means. Therefore, the advantage of remote learning is simply eclipsed by significant trade-off. Yeah, I don't know what that means. I'm sorry. In conclusion, although online learning plays a pivotal role in saving time, it is essential to recognize its serious. Okay, you're just repeating again. It is essential to recognize its serious problems. We've had this a couple of times already now. So yeah, I don't. I mean, the conclusion does an all right job at summarizing the main ideas, but it's just getting a bit repetitive. Candidate's language, I have to say, is very, very strong. Let's have a look at some scores. I don't think it's a particularly difficult one to mark. Task response is 5. For me, we don't get a clear position. We kind of get the candidate believes that there are advantages or disadvantages. The candidate believes that there are positives and negatives. The question asks the candidate to say whether it's a positive or negative development, and the candidate has kind of answered with yes, right? But is it a positive or negative development? I don't know. maybe according to this thing, maybe the advantage of remote learning is simply eclipsed by significant trade-off. That's a very difficult sentence to understand, but it seems to me as if the candidate is saying that there are more disadvantages than advantages. It's more of a negative than a positive, but I don't think the candidate has done a really good job of explaining that position clearly. So for me, task response 5. um Coherence and cohesion. uh so while there are just a couple of, yeah, it's really close to the 8, but I'm going to give the 7. And I just feel like there are a couple of, just strange points, like a bit too basic, this cause effect, that you lose your communication skills, then you won't be able to interact with other people, you'll feel stressed and anxious, and being stressed and anxious could affect your mental health. um I mean, the sequencing, the logical sequencing is there, but it's just a little bit too basic. But for me, coherence and cohesion 7. 4 paragraphs, from paragraph to paragraph, everything is linked nicely. There are cohesive devices in there, like linking terms, um, pronouns, determiners, things like this. So I do think there is enough coherence and cohesion for a 7, and you are certainly not far away from the 8. Lexical resource. This one is going to be tough because I do feel like the candidate does have like enough of the resource for an 8, but I just don't know whether the skill of applying this resource, right? Like eclipsed by great, but then trade off is great, but it's not really clear. I mean, I love this word. A trade off is really nice, but you haven't really demonstrated what that trade off is. And so, and again, online learning plays a pivotal role in saving time. Like, it just feels a bit strange. Like, it seems like the focus is saving time rather than online learning. Um, it's like, yeah, if you want to save time, do online learning rather than online learning is great because, yeah. So the vocab is really strong, but could I give to support their stance? I'm between the 7 and the 8. I'm going to go with 7, but I am between the 7 and the 8. So lexical resource 7. Grammatical range and accuracy. Very accurate in terms of grammar, punctuation, just a small mistake with a 1 comma, lots of subordination, complex sentences, beautiful range of those sentences. We get passive, we get active, like is eclipsed by. Cool. We get some use of modality. They might feel. Mhm. I think there was a may in there too, wasn't there? Yeah, which may be spent on transportation. So nice bit of distancing language, which is good. That's the appropriate modality for academic writing. Um, yeah, trend of some universities offering their courses. I think we have enough grammatical range and accuracy for an 8. Again, I wasn't sure, like with lexical resource and GRA, I'm kind of between 7 and 8. So when I have this debate with myself, I say, well, just give 7 for one and give 8 for the other. That kind of makes sense. And so what we get here overall, we get a score of 6.5. And it seems strange, doesn't it? Because it's like there's an 8, there are 2 7s. But we know 8776 would give you a score of 7, and so 8775 gives you a score of 6.5. Higher end of upper intermediate. Task response is that thing to fix. The simplest thing, answer that question. Is this a positive or negative development? Just keep it simple. While there are some advantages to distance learning, I believe that on the whole, distance learning creates more problems than it solves, or distance learning is overall a negative thing, or something like that. A direct answer to this question, we just don't get it. Candidate does have problems, supporting positions and choosing relevant positions. And so that's something that the candidate should work on. In terms of English level, you're absolutely fine. You are an amazing user of English, an amazing user of English. You should be very proud of that. However, you are not a very strong academic essay writer, and so that's where you need to improve. Your English is fine. Forget about learning more English. Learn what it means to brainstorm a bunch of different arguments, to choose a simple position, and to know how to put that forward and how to develop it. That's the thing that's critical. And if you fix this, I really think you can get 7.5. Yeah, I really think you can get 7.5 if you just fix that one aspect. But yeah, for me, overall, 6.5. Strong piece of writing. Like many candidates on this channel, the weakness is that task response. Of course, let me know in the comment section if you agree or disagree with any of my comments. Maybe you think I'm totally wrong. Maybe I am, who knows? And if you'd like your own free IELTS writing check, or if you'd like a free practice speaking test with feedback, you can request this on my Telegram channel. A link to this Telegram channel is given below. But I will leave it there for now. A lot more videos coming soon, but for now, bye-bye.